and I can send it to you.
Okay.
Okay, we're recording.
It says, okay. I would love to be able to see it on Facebook, because I can't quite believe that until I see it. But I guess we can just trust.
While you're getting started, I can go and look and see if it's showing up there for you.
Well, I don't know why I can't see it, but I can't right now.
It just takes a minute. Everything is like delayed, you know?
Yes, it's there, Karen.
Okay.
It's there. Oh my gosh. I'm like,
hurry up before it goes away.
Okay. Hi, Karen.
Hi. Oh, Margo. Hi. How are you?
Gee, I haven't seen you in so long.
Yeah, it's been about an hour.
I've been spending the last hour and 20 minutes trying to get this going. We are just devoted. We're just devoted.
We need to get this message out.
That's right. Absolutely. So hi.
Hi.
I'm really, really happy to have Karen Blaney Camerato here with me today. And we planned to go live an hour ago, but all our efforts were not fruitful, and now we're here. So, you got to live with what you have. So we're very happy to be here. And Karen and I met because I just happened to see her in another group that we're both part of, and she said she was reaching out to people who had something to offer about grief. And when we spoke and when you sent me your material, Karen, I was just so impressed with you and so impressed with your thinking about grief. And maybe you'd just like to introduce yourself to people.
Oh, thank you. Well, I feel the same about you. So I'm just a regular person. I live in Greenville, South Carolina. I am just a mom. I'm a bookkeeper. But the reason that I am involved with grief is that I lost my son, Nicholas, but it's been 24 years. So I have a lot of perspective on it. But I will say that it did not have to take me as long as it took me to get to the place that I am right now. And it was basically because I was very closed off, and I really just didn't investigate all of the options and keep my heart open and keep my ears open. And so as a result, it took me a very long time to find my joy again. And I will say, since I lost my son, Nicholas, I do have 2 other children. I have a daughter who is now 24, but she was 1 at the time that I lost Nicholas, and a son that's 22. And so I will say that I did have pockets of joy in my life through them. Everything that I was able to experience as far as happiness came from them, which isn't really necessarily a very healthy thing. I mean, it's great, but, in order to truly experience it, you need to be able to feel it from the inside, from your own self, and be happy with your own self. And it was only after a series of different things that I tried that I actually got the aha moment and said, oh yeah, I remember what this feels like. This feels good. And it's embarrassing. It was actually a Zumba class, but I won't go into all the details on that, but it did wake me up. And so now
waking up our bodies is often what does it,
Right. And I'm, so I'm never the person to say, oh yeah, go get a boot camp, go run a mile, it needs to be what it is for you. Everyone has their own thing that gets them rolling. And so for me, it was Zumba, which is a combination of the feel-good hormones that get awakened when you're moving your body, and just the music and the camaraderie with the other people in the class. I just really had fun, and I had a break from the circumstances of my life for 1 entire hour, and I loved it. So once you get that little feeling, it's like, I want more of this. And it kind of started me on a quest to, you just go down this rabbit hole of personal development and just learning and trying new things. And, that's what's brought me here. And So I want so badly to share this with other moms who've been where I've been, because if you don't know, you don't know. And sometimes the pain associated with child loss is so complicated that it's hard to want to feel better. It's hard to take the steps to seek, where in any other kind of situation, you can, at least you can want to feel better. But with this, there's a whole mind game going on, because we feel like if we're trying to feel better, if we're trying to move forward, it means that we're leaving our child behind, which we are not. And it's the exact opposite. But if you don't know, you don't know. And so I'm just out here just trying to share that word with everyone.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's amazing. I know you're having an open house starting this week, and I want to ask you about that. But I also want to say that I've been so happy that you are part of the group that I've started, Calm During Conflict, Mindful Listening for Relationship Healing. And I wanted to share that I learned about the power of listening from grief. I learned about how magic listening is from people dealing with grief. And it first happened in a group that I was leading with all different kinds of people who had lost all different kinds of people that were close to them, it was a complicated group to run. It was wonderful, but it was also, not, I think it's wonderful that you're leading something primarily or possibly only for moms, because there's just something that brings moms who've lost a child together. This group was there was a participant in it who'd lost her mother very young. And there was a participant in it, there were participants who'd lost spouses, sisters, brothers, and also a gentleman who lost a child. And I remember them sharing, one person sharing, in the group, this was years ago, about how people would just disappear from their lives. The people I was working with were following some kind of Jewish tradition of different levels. So they would talk about after the Shiva, after the 7 days where people come to your house and everyone's there for you, people would disappear. And I've been thinking about that for years. First it taught me that, that the thing to do is just stay there even though we feel awkward. We feel awkward when someone has dealt with such a terrible loss. We don't know what to do. Little by little, I realized that the reason why we disappear is because we feel like we're supposed to be able to fix something. We feel like we're supposed to be able to say the right thing and take that person's pain away, which is really kind of crazy to think that we could do that. And when we feel like we can't do that, then we go away. That's one half of it. The other half of it is that we really don't want to face that these things happen in life. And that's partly why we want to fix the other person's pain, because then we're proving that it's fixable. And when we can't do that, we go away. And I heard from, even then, from these participants in this one group so many years ago, that they don't care if anyone can fix anything. They find it funny when people, there were some great stories that they would laugh over, sense of humor is so important, about people meaning well, trying to say things that would make them feel better. And what they really wanted is for people to just be with them, which is what listening is. Just being able to be there, even, and possibly even saying, I don't know what to say to you, but I don't want to go away. Even it can be awkward like that. So when you shared with me your 7 stages, is it?
The 8 stages of growing through grief, yeah.
Yeah, 8 stages of growing through grief. And I remember being struck that the first one, allow, is really something about listening to ourselves.
Right.
And we can do that out loud, and hopefully people around us can also hear us.
Right. I'm so glad that you are talking about this. There is no easy fix, of course, but I'm so glad that you realize and you're sharing with people that the listening part is so important. You don't have to say a word. And many times, with the moms that I'm dealing with in this deep, deep grief, they get upset when people try to fix things, try to offer advice, try to come with the cliches. They're in a better place. He wants you to be happy. There's so many things that, that really upset them, and understandably so. They've never been through this. They don't know, but they know that whatever those people are saying isn't fixing. But
Right.
I remember.
I want to say to our listeners, sorry for interrupting you. I want to say to our listeners that if you recognize yourself in this, if you recognize that you've said to people, "Oh, be strong," or this is something to help you grow, I also recognize myself in it. Even with the social workers training, when I heard that from the group participants that I was working with, I knew that I had tried to fix also, as just as a regular person. We do it either out of fear or out of meaning well, or some combination of both, and it's very human. So if you recognize yourself in this, I hope that you forgive yourself, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, everyone will recognize themselves in this. I still do it, even though I know that sometimes it drives people crazy. Yeah. Because, you just want to help, and you just feel so helpless. There is no right thing to do or say, except to just be there and listen. You don't have to say a word. And I remember me figuring out, as I looked back on the things that helped me get through this, and one of the very first things was just telling my story and telling my story and telling it over and over again. And so what does it take to tell your story? It takes someone to listen. And so many times the moms that are talking about the ones who really helped them through are the ones that showed up every day, heard them talk about the same thing over and over again, replayed everything. But that's just what it takes. It's just part of it. Yeah. And I just think it's so powerful to be a good listener, and so important. Yeah. And then, like you said, the next stage, which is listening to yourself and, allowing whatever emotion comes over you, and just knowing that it's all normal and it's all part of the process.
Something else I was struck by in your approach is that you say something that I, as a professional or as a friend, I can't say. And I found it so important to hear it from you. You said it gets better.
Yeah. Scary words for me to say. At the beginning, when I started this and I went through training for being a grief coach, I didn't think I could say that. I really thought there would be a mutiny of all the moms that couldn't handle hearing it. And there are some. I've had people say, well, that must be nice, but that's not me. I'll never, be able to feel that way. And it's true, for some people, they won't, for whatever reason. But one of these stages that I talk about is making a decision. And it's making a decision to live with the memory of them and living for their life and in honor of their life, instead of as a result of their death. So, but it doesn't happen overnight. And like I said, like that first stage of allowing things, it's almost like your body is taken over by an alien. You think you want to do things, or you should do things, or you can do things, and you just simply can't do it. And so it's really the most passive part of these actions that I say you can take, because the action is simply allowing. Mm-hmm. But then
it cycles around, I'm sure. It cycles around. If you get back
just bounces. Yeah, it's all, and this, I'm sorry to say, but it's for the rest of your life. Yeah. It's for the rest of your life that you have to keep doing these things and bouncing from one thing to another as it comes to you and makes sense to you. So, and it's just like the stages of grief. Same thing. Right. It's not linear. It's, it's round and round. Right.
I was talking to a client today who's dealing with something else entirely. And he was feeling hopeless about when he would try to make himself feel better, it would then go away. And we talked about that it's like cleaning house. It's like washing the dishes. You clean the dishes and then they get dirty again. But you don't say, oh, forget it. I'm not going to wash the dishes. They're just going to get dirty again. Sometimes you wish you could say that. But, I mean, it's sort of a silly example for something that's so deeply painful. But it can be something that clarifies the kind of work that you have to do over and over and over again when you can. And when you can't, then the work is being compassionate with yourself and noticing when you'll be able to do something more active again. What do you think about that?
I think that's part of the reason why some of these moms are so reluctant to try those baby steps forward, to try to do things, because they feel as though that grief is all they have left. And if they start to feel better, that they're, like he said, then it goes away. But your child never goes away. I mean, once you become a mom, you are a mom forever to whatever child is conceived within you, I feel. Yeah. So, we're never going to forget our children. It's just not a possibility. It's just a question of creating the life that we want. And does it serve their memory better for us to do positive things, do good things in the world, or does it serve their memory to, just stay in bed and get very, mean and grumpy and jaded and, just negative. And so at some point, you have to be open to trying to open up and be, reach for more.
I sometimes think that the knowledge that it's a lifetime, that the pain comes around again, can be a comfort if one's afraid of forgetting their child, which, as you say, doesn't happen. I've never met anyone, and you, with all your experience, are saying it doesn't happen. But remembering that, yep, this pain is going to come back over and over again. Maybe that can be, in some strange way, a comfort that, yes, I will continue to be connected to the pain. But there are times when I can also make a decision and decide how I want my child to live in my life in a new way.
And I love that. I love how you're saying that. Yes, that's it exactly. And, there's times where I am talking to people and I'm telling my story and I'll tell what happened to Nick, and it starts to feel a little robotic, like I've said this so many times, and it's not touching me in the heart like it used to when I say the words. But I recently had an experience where it was his birthday, and for many years I've just handled the birthday, and it's gotten to where I get through the day, and of course I think about it, but it doesn't bring me down to the pit. And this past year it did. It really brought me down to the pit, and I couldn't believe, I was really surprised, especially being in the work that I'm doing and, among all the moms that are so freshly grieving. But it did comfort me to know that I am still his mom and I am still connected to him. And what was even more comforting, I let myself be there for a while, but what was really comforting was to know that I knew how to pull myself out of the pit when I was ready to do it. And that is what I'm talking about as far as building these tools that, the things that help you, so that when you have this situation where you are going to look at some pictures or look through some old videos or have a conversation with an old friend, and it brings you down, or it brings you so close to those tender memories, that you can let yourself go there because you know how to get back out. And it's very powerful. And I did it, and I knew, it's about meditating. It's about, having time to just relax and do nothing, take a break. I took a break from social media, took a break from everything. And, eventually I was able to just feel good again.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love the way you tell that. I think, it resonates for me so strongly, also connected to staying calm during conflict, which is part of, why are we talking about grief in the context of calm during conflict, mindful listening for healing, for relationship healing? I mean, there's a few reasons. One is that just that, you're part of the group and I really love you. I'm excited about what you're doing with the open house, which we'll hear about. And I wanted everyone to hear about it. But you're so welcome. There's other things as well. One is also just that listening. I learned about listening from people who are grieving. And the other is that I learned about the magic and power of it. But the other is that it's all about finding tools for ourselves. And we have people like you that can show us signposts along the way. And they can hopefully inspire us to find our own tools. So you talked about self-soothing. And also when we're trying to stay calm during conflict and using meditation, turning conflict into an opportunity for inner practice, self-soothing is so much a part of that. In a way, I think that many of our challenges really require similar kinds of tools. And it's up to each one of us to look inside and experiment and find what those tools are. Now, there's things that require us to create even more power in our tools. There's things that are lighter and things that are heavier. But sometimes the approaches, the essence of the approach is very similar. What do you think?
Exactly. And I'm really glad to be in your group. I'm really excited to see where it goes, because although I've had the epiphany about listening with grief, there's still many lessons that I need to learn. And there's still many areas of my life that need to apply that to as well. I'm always worried about having really hard conversations. Like, I don't like to do that. I avoid really hard conversations when they're necessary. But I've recently, since joining your group and reading some of your insights, I've recently been realizing that what I'm going to do right now in certain areas of my life is just step back and listen, just listen to myself and to the people around me, and see if that brings me any closer to then just the tension of I've got to head on and face this, and say my piece or whatever. I just think it's really powerful, and it's been a big eye-opener. So that's why I'm participating in your group. I'm really excited about it.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's really inspiring, what you're saying, that there's things that you have avoided talking about, difficult conversations, and now you're saying, I'm going to get in there. I don't have to say anything. It's so similar, isn't it, to what we were talking about
Yes.
Walking alongside a person who's grieving, remembering that we don't have to say anything. Right. And we can say awkward things, and that's okay, but we feel so, it's different, because when we're having those difficult conversations, we desperately want to convince people of something. And it's putting that aside and saying, I don't have to do that right now. Let me listen to them first, and maybe they'll be able to hear me a lot better.
Right.
At a later stage. Yeah.
I mean, listening is really a beautiful form of loving someone. It really is. If you truly listen, that's got to be more than anything you could actually say. And I know it makes them feel so much better to be heard.
Yeah, I believe that. Another thing that inspired me to start this was feeling that as a therapist working in private practice, a clinical social worker, people come and pay me for therapy, and they pay me, really more than it should be covered, and it's not very much covered here. They pay a lot of money. And I feel like who knows, but so much of what they're paying me for is good listening. And I really have a vision that we are more to do that for each other. That's down to that too.
The world these days is just everybody waiting to take a turn to say their thing. It's like, I'm just waiting for my turn, and I'm not really even listening to what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm backing off of. I don't need to always just be ready with my next comment. I need to just really, truly listen to what that person is saying.
And yeah, and I'm going to talk more. I've started talking a little bit in the group, and I'm going to talk more about what the inner work that we need to do to take care of ourselves is while we're trying to listen, because the reason why it's hard to listen is often that one reason is that often our buttons are being pushed. So what do we do with that in a way? Because it's not about just being a punching bag, you know.
Right.
We have to have boundaries. But there's things that we can do in the moment to soothe ourselves and know that we're okay no matter what the other person is going through. Yeah.
We'll keep that coming, because that's something that I really want to pay attention to.
Okay, it's coming. All right, so tell us about this amazing open house. And it's not just one day, is it?
No, it's a week. What the idea came from is I have a group of moms that have lost a child. It's a Facebook group. It's a very large group, and we have some interaction every day. I have some coaching prompts and some quotes and things that, you know, we try to get engaged with each other, because to me, being around other moms is important. But there's so many groups on Facebook for grieving moms, you just wouldn't believe. And I'm talking like 20,000 people in a group.
Wow.
And it can be a dark place. It can really be a very sad and scary place, especially for people that might not be ready to hear all of those things, or might just not want to be burdened with everybody else's sad stories with no positivity interspersed. Mm-hmm. So, you know, my group is all about finding positivity as we move forward. I mean, no, why we're brought together is not a positive reason, but the fact that we can all be together is a positive reason. So I just kept feeling like I wanted to do more and more and more with these women, but, you know, there's, you know, 650 people in there, and it's just impossible to reach everybody. So I created another group that's like a membership where people will join, and they get exposed to these types of tools and experiences and support group meetings that can be so helpful and help you grow so much. So what I decided to do was take all the aspects of the small membership group and pop them into the big group for a week. So yeah, I'm going to die probably, because it's going to be crazy. But some of the things we do in there, so we have a support group meeting once a week, and that's on Zoom. We all come into Zoom, all the moms, and, you know, it's just your standard, you know, what you would expect. We all share, but it is led by me. And so there is some coaching that goes on inside of there. Mm-hmm. And so this week, there's going to be an open support group meeting for all of those members of that group, whoever chooses to join. Of course, I had to put Zumba in as part of my my support group. I mean, as part of this group, because it was my aha. And so I like have this hope that it can be someone else's. So there's going to be access to my Zumba classes, my Zumba Gold classes, which is just the same thing, but lower intensity, lower impact. And then we do yoga class once a week. So that yoga class is going to be available in the big group. And then I do interviews and workshops in there as well. And so the interviews that we're doing this week are going to be so that the whole group can watch them. And we're, you know, so we do a mom spotlight where we're talking with a mom who's been through it and what, you know, the tools that she's used to get through. I have an expert who's coming in who's going to speak about feng shui, which is I think a new concept to most moms in my group, but so many of us have a problem dealing with the energy of our children's stuff. So our child is gone, but there's their bedroom with all of their stuff. Or, you know, if they were older, you know, we have their clothing, we have their memorabilia, we have their, you know, their baseball glove. You know, we have these things. Right. And it's so hard to decide what to do with those things. And it feels so scary to make a decision because it feels so final. Mm-hmm. So she's going to be talking about that. Yes. And also about creating a place in your home where you can, you know, remember your child without it being like a dark place, and how it can make your home, just everything feel right. Feng Shui is really cool, and I'm just learning about it. But for my aspect, when I started talking with this woman about the benefits for these women, for my moms, I got so excited. I was like, when can we do it? I love it. And
Yeah,
then we're also going to be.
I've heard a lot about that from clients as well. That the objects that are connected with the person. It's such a challenge and
Right.
an
But it
emotional
really
magnet.
doesn't make sense to just, pile it up and let it collect dust. When you're ready, there can be a process for working through the stuff in a way that helps you feel good about it. And then I'm going to be talking with two moms who, they're actually local in my area, but they have been a huge inspiration to me. They're just two moms that met. They both lost their adult sons, and they created a little support group in their church, and it grew and it grew and it grew. And now it's a huge support group in their church, and they have a yearly day where they come together with all these different workshops and help for moms who've lost a child. So I'm going to talk to them about how all that came together. And the message there is just that when you've lost someone that you love so much, sometimes helping other people is the best way to feel better. And not trying to sound, like you have to volunteer, you have to do these things, but it's honestly and truly a way to get outside yourself and help others and use what you've been through to help someone instead of hurt yourself.
Yeah. Well, I love how you have all these ideas and tools and resources that you're putting out there, and you're saying, use it if it works for you. Find what works for you. You're not saying you must volunteer. I get that.
Right. You have 10 things you have to do to feel better, and it's not realistic I think that was the reason why I was so afraid to say it gets better. Because how do you promise someone that it gets better? It's all in their hands. But what I can promise is that if you try and you seek the answers for you, it does get better. And I'm happy now to say that I'm so much better. And it's because of Nick. It's because of him. I feel like it feels so much better than just being a bitter, closed off person.
I have no words. to respond to that. It's just deep and beautiful. And I hope the people listening can take what they want from what you're saying. So,
me too.
Give us details. How do people find you?
Oh, I mean, I guess the best way to find me is just on Facebook. I'm Grief Coach Karen. That's my page. You can send me a message there. I have a website. The name of my company is Rising Above in Memory of. So it's risingaboveInMemoryOf.com. Send me an email from there. That's the best way to get in touch with me. I'm tagged on this live, I'm sure. So people can just click on me and send me a message if they had a question or wanted to talk. I just love talking to people, and it doesn't depress me. It does not depress me. I mean, I know that they need to be heard, and I just like to see the little sparks of what I know can be the things that save that person. They say it themselves. They know it themselves, but sometimes it just takes a little bit of encouragement to have somebody point out to you what they see in you.
Yeah. And what if the people want to join the open house?
Okay, so the open house is being run in my Facebook group. It's called Rising Above, Hope for Moms That Have Lost a Child. And I can send you a link to the group. Yeah. So they just join the group. They have to answer some questions. The group is just for moms that have lost a child. So I'm pretty careful about making sure those are the only people in there. And,
Mhm.
you know, I hate excluding other people, and I do not rank anybody's grief. I totally don't.
Yeah.
It's just, I felt like my experience was losing a child, and so that's who I felt most comfortable helping. And so I know that there's many types of grief, and, you know,
There's,
everyone needs help.
there's no comparing pain. There's no
No,
comparing.
no.
With that, though, many people who've lost a child feel that there is something horribly unique about that pain.
Yeah.
And many people who haven't lost a child feel that too, about the loss of a child. So it's wonderful that you have a place that's special for moms who've lost a child. Yeah.
I love them so much. I do. I just want to help them any way that I can.
I get that. So on that note, Karen, we succeeded.
Finally, we did it.
Took us a long time to get this conversation going. And we'll be seeing each other.
Yes.
So the open house starts on Tuesday and goes through to the following Tuesday. Is that right?
Yes. And there's an event every single day. But there's a schedule, and I think you posted my schedule actually, but I can pop that in. Once you post this live, I will pop that in there too, so that anyone who's listening can hopefully come and meet me and join in. And the thing with this open house is just like, I'm not telling you do something every day. Just look at the schedule, see what things seem to align with your feelings at the moment, and just try that. And everything like the Zumba, the yoga, that's done on Zoom Live, you can do it with your camera on or your camera off. And it's also shared later so that you can do it all by yourself when you at a later time.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing you, but I'm getting this message that the video's unstable. So
your face was a little frozen there, but I can hear you too.
Okay. All right. Well, it's gotten us through to here, and so I'm looking forward to hearing how it goes, and we'll be seeing each other.
Thank you so much for this. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. I enjoyed talking to you.
Have a good one.